Hey everyone, welcome to Lillian Live in New York on Well World TV. Very excited that you're here. I hope you don't hear any background noise. I do have a little doggy here that I'm pet sitting for, so just excuse if you hear any barking. He's a good dog. But anyway, let me tell you about today. We have our guest. Her name is Liza Fiorentinos. She's the founder of Luludi Living Art. Luludi means flower in Greek. She's Greek. This company brings a breath of nature to companies. After a successful career in advertising, working for CNN International and CNBC Europe, Liza returned from New York, from Paris. She returned to New York, and she launched her company to bring nature's indoors artistically. Inspired by the beautiful living walls she saw in Paris and how very little plant life existed indoors in New York City, she launched her company in 2011 and now provides plantscapes and moss walls to her clientele. And I have to say, she's never been happier after 28 years in the corporate world. 5 years ago, she started offering terrarium classes in person as a fun and interactive team building experience. And since April, she has shifted those workshops online, sending plant kits out in advance. Her store and studio are located in Astoria, Queens, but she travels nationally to help companies design their spaces with beautiful, lush plants. I'm going to let you know how you can reach Liza later on in the broadcast. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Liza Fiorentinos. Hi, Liza.
Hi, Lillian. Thanks so much. I'm so excited.
How are you?
Looking at all these plants?
Yeah, you look great. It's almost like you're a plant.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like a plant. Sometimes I feel like a weed.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I mean, what's not to be well, right? I mean, surrounded by plants. They really make people feel good.
That is awesome. I want to hear more about that. So I wanted to ask you, I know you lived in Paris for a long time and you were in the corporate world, and then you decided to move back to New York and, start this very unique business. What exactly inspired you and how did that all start?
So Paris was pretty amazing, as you can imagine. I was there for a really long time and working in corporate, which I loved. I'm one of the few people that really enjoyed my corporate life. But when I moved back to New York and I visited a lot of friends in their offices, I really noticed that nobody had plants. I mean, a lot of people didn't even have windows that opened, right? Everything was through air conditioning and stuff. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to launch a business that brings nature indoors. And Luludi Living Art was born.
That's awesome. And I know you've been doing it a long time, and you've worked with many corporations globally and in New York City where you're based. Why don't you tell us a little bit how essential plants are to humans mentally, etc., and why they are so essential now more than ever?
Thank you. I love this subject, of course. So, I mean, plants are essential to our lives anyway. If you think about the buildings that you walk in, no matter what city or what town you live in, any building, I mean, it's made from lumber or it's made from some kind of a plant derivative, maybe even bamboo. Think about fuel, right? Soy or corn. Think about even the medication that we ingest every single day. 40 to 50% of the pharmaceuticals are made from plants. So plants are really, really essential. But there are, and I could go on forever, there are so many wonderful benefits to having plants in your space. They can boost your mood. A plant can actually make you happy. So you're looking at my screen, my studio right now with all these plants. Do you feel good?
Yeah, I love it. It's fun, and it's fun and bright. I mean, it's not bright by colors, but it's happy.
Right, exactly. So the truth is that plants, if you put plants in a room where somebody's recovering from an illness, they'll actually recover faster with the plants in there than in a room that doesn't have any plants. Plants can lower your heart rate. They can lower your blood pressure. They can detoxify the air. So, I mean, this is called a crispy wave. And this in particular really converts the carbon dioxide to oxygen. There are other plants that are really, really good at de-stressing. I think you probably have seen this. This is the peace lily. And peace lilies are known to actually help you release some of your stress. They can even help reduce your depression. Plants are just truly amazing. And if your dog barks, if you have a lot of dogs barking in your space, you can just put a whole bunch of plants because the leaves actually absorb some of the noise. And that's why I think in many offices you find a lot of plants. I mean, besides the fact that they just make you feel good.
That's so interesting. And were there a lot more plant life and so on in offices in Europe than there are in the States, like in New York?
So I can only speak about New York as a comparison. But the truth of the matter is that in Paris, our windows in our offices actually opened. So you could get natural air in. So, I mean, yes, we definitely, many of us had plants in our offices, but it was really the fact that you were able to access natural ventilation, if you will. So if I could just take a minute and talk about biophilia.
Yes.
So biophilia is translated directly from the Greek, means love of life. Basically, what it means is the fact that human beings have an affinity to anything that's living, to a natural surrounding. So think about, like, my happy place is the beach, right? And I feel so good when I go to the beach. But a lot of people love mountains and rivers, and they love hiking. All that has to do with biophilia because your body actually changes physiologically when you're in nature. So I know that today we're talking about the essential, essential plant life to our well-being, but biophilia, just anywhere you can put yourself in a natural surrounding will really just make you feel better.
Wow, did you have to take courses on all this? Because this is a lot of information that the average person has no idea about.
Well, I think there's lots actually online about it right now, because I think that as human beings and people that, we spend so much of our time indoors under artificial light that I think more and more companies are trying to make us more efficient. And one of those ways is actually by bringing plants in. I mean, plants can can help you concentrate. Plants can help you be maybe like 25% more creative than one would normally be in a room without plants. It's pretty amazing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
I was actually. Always say something when it comes to plants. The Australians did a study actually a few years ago about how faux plants have about 60% of the effect on one physiologically as much as a live plant. And I think that's just because humans are starved for something something natural to be surrounded by. So 60% of the effect, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And also, did you say, I think I read somewhere that people who work with plants actually in this space have 20% more ideas?
They do. They're that much more creative. And I tell you what, if you put your hands in soil, you live longer and happier. And that's scientifically proven. It's pretty amazing. I think gardeners are such happy people.
You're right. There is something to say about that. Do you know why? What the correlation is?
Yeah, I don't know what the science behind it is, but it has to do with biophilia, the fact that human beings have a natural affinity to things that are, natural, if you will. Anything like, think about it. So even in your home, if you can't have plants, like if you have a piece of driftwood, like driftwood is a natural element. If you are a beach person like I am, you can have shells. Like having any of these biophilic elements in your space, they can inspire your life. They can invigorate your life. They can just looking at them make you feel better.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It sort of reminds me, especially, and when you get to talk about your terrarium classes and putting the hands in soil, it kind of reminds me of, in a way, let's say people, kids that go to camp and they're playing with, things, or when we were younger, pottery and clay and all that. Like it kind of slows you down and makes you feel calm and right.
Yeah, absolutely. Plants really have the ability to calm you down. And I think especially now when a lot of us have been anxious and a lot of us are trying to actually reduce a little bit of the stress, plants can actually help you sleep better. And I think sleep is elusive for a lot of people. And just having plants in your room, in your bedroom, or in your sleep.
Well, let me ask you something. Does Columbia Medical Sleep Study know about this? Because they need to. They have a whole, Columbia up here, Upper Manhattan, has a whole sleep study program. You might need to get over there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You might need to haul those plants right over after this program. So are there specific plants right now? I know you mentioned the peace lily, but to detoxify and start boosting our mood, and how soon do they work?
So I can't give you the science behind that. You might have to talk to your buddies over at Columbia, because I'm sure they have another study on the benefit of plants in a space. But I can say that, so all greenery, all live plants, and maybe 60% of faux, well done faux plants will really help boost your mood. But there are, so here's the golden pothos, right? The golden pothos is like the ubiquitous plant in at least in New York City. You can buy this plant anywhere. And this plant is one of the ones that really helps reduce stress and really helps boost your mood. I'm not sure why. Other plants, like I said, I talked about the crispy wave, even like the Chinese evergreens are good. Any kind of a fern, any kind of a palm really help boost your mood.
So what was my mother talking about growing up? She didn't want to have plants because they take our oxygen. What was she talking about?
Yeah, I think, plants will always take in oxygen in order to survive, but the idea is that plants also give off oxygen. And certain plants like the crispy wave actually converts the carbon dioxide in the air to oxygen. In addition, a lot of these plants that you see here in the studio actually draw the toxins out from materials that we have in our homes, in our apartments, in the offices. For example, rugs. Rugs have a lot of toxins in them. Even paint on the wall contains toxins that are harmful to us. And a lot of these plants actually draw those toxins out. So
that's amazing. Do you have to have a lot of plants to do that, or like one plant can?
There is actually a specific study that says like you should have a plant like every 2 feet or something. But in our spaces, particularly here in New York City, that when we're in a smaller, usually our square footage is usually smaller than, let's say, somebody who's in Oregon. You can actually cluster plants together for more impact.
Wow. I want to also ask you about, before we talk about the terrariums, can you talk about those amazing moss walls that you've done that are so popular, that are in, various high-end department stores, and, a lot of corporations have been going to you for them for years, and they're super popular. What can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking about that. So The moss that we use happens to be preserved, which is what most of the moss wall gardens that are out there, that's what they are preserved, meaning they're not fake. They were preserved in most cases sustainably. And the idea is we arrange the moss onto a backing, and then we hang it up like a picture frame. So a plug for Neiman Marcus, they reached out to us, and they now carry our moss walls. We design them with biophilic elements. So we might use dried natural leaves, we might use driftwood, we might use pine cones as decoration within those moss walls. And they're used for lobbies, they're used for, like when you come off an elevator, instead of having a picture in front of you, you have like a moss wall. They're beautiful. They really are very beautiful.
I know, they're very striking, and they're so of the now. Does it take a lot of manpower to put them up and get them done?
It really depends on the size of them. For individual use, we usually market the 24 by 36 inch. It seems just like a big poster, but we have a lot of, that dog is so cute. But we have a lot of custom pieces that are like, 12 foot by 12 foot. We did some special moss walls for in Hudson Yards for different tenants there. Yeah.
Wow.
Moss walls, the effect of we did a lovely job for Accenture's headquarters down on Spring Street here in New York. That was like a 12 foot by 15 moss wall, and we had their logo in the middle of it. And really stunning. Like you come off the elevator and you're just really arrested by this stunning, mossy, natural green.
Yeah, it's something so unique and different. I also wanted to comment that I know, believe it or not, in 4 months it's going to be holiday time, which I can't believe. But I also know that, I don't really know how it's going to be and all, but I know that you've made like unbelievable holiday decorations. That one tree, which was like almost as big as the one in Rockefeller Center, which took you days and days. And I don't know how you do it. Like, can you tell us more about that?
We do offer holiday decor for our clients, for the corporations that we work with, and it's really up to them. Sometimes we use like dried magnolia to make these gorgeous wreaths. Sometimes we do. We don't do a lot of live trees, sadly, because it is a fire hazard, and most buildings in New York City will not allow corporations to do live. We can do some pretty amazing faux stuff as well. Lil, can I share with your viewers, just if they are wanting to?
Oh, you froze. Oh, you froze. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said, can I share with the viewers just a little bit about like some thoughts about moving forward, about how to incorporate maybe plants in their lives?
Absolutely. Take it away.
Okay. So the thing is that I strongly recommend that after this webinar, everybody runs out and buys a bunch of plants. Go to your local gardening store, go to the nursery, go to Home Depot, go to your grocery store, or you can even do like a trade with your neighbors. And the first thing that you actually need to think about is think about your lifestyle and think about your light, the light that you have in your space, because there are specific plants for low light. There are obviously lots of plants for bright light, but think about your lifestyle. Like if you have a super busy lifestyle and you don't want to worry about watering your plants, then you should probably go an easy route and get something like succulents or air plants that are a lot less maintenance heavy. The other thing is if you have children, if you have pets, you should do some research about ones that are non-poisonous, obviously, to that audience. And then design your space. Like I particularly love a feeling of lushness. I like a lot of plants, but a lot of people are minimalists and they want one plant. The Japanese recently did a study that had one little plant on their desk. and they were encouraging their workers to stare at the plant for 60 seconds, and there was a physiological difference in them. So you guys, if you only want one plant, then it certainly can have the same benefit or very similar benefit to having lots of plants around.
Wow, that's great information. And just so you know, everybody, and I'll put this up again, if you want to reach Liza, you can always reach her. I will put this up. Just a moment. I just had it. Here it is. You can always reach Liza at luludi.net, or on Instagram, Luludi Living Art, at Luludi Living Art. If you want to get in touch with her, ask her any questions. Now I want to ask you about something that I was lucky to be able to be part of. Liza has, she offers terrarium classes, and you know, she's been doing that for years in corporations around the country, and I was lucky enough to go with her to see how it worked at a few corporations here in New York City, and I got to partake in some of the classes that she held. She would do like couples night and various different themes, and I remember her telling me, and she could talk more about it, how cool it was to see actually how couples interact when, you know, who's going to put the sand in, who's going to do this, etc. And with what's going on now in the world, she had to think fast, and like I said earlier, she sends out these plant kits in advance. And anyway, I've made terrariums, and they're just so much fun, and they're beautiful, and she has so many choices. So I want to talk about that, Liza, about your terrariums.
Yeah, thanks so much. And just so you all know, Lillian's super creative. Her terrariums were gorgeous. So
I wouldn't say.
What's a terrarium? I mean, here is an example of what a terrarium is. It's basically a couple of plants in, it could be a glass vessel, it could be a wood vessel, it could be anything. But what we do is we use our terrarium workshops as a way for team building, or to celebrate an anniversary, a birthday, sometimes for children. And right now, as Lillian said, we're doing it on Zoom, and we ship the kit out. And so the kit includes like the glass and the plants, etc. It includes moss, it includes soil, it includes colored pebbles. And then we send out a Zoom link, and then we meet on Zoom. And I have to say, like, I love doing the in-person ones because you're able to really sort of kind of dive in with people as they're creating their mini living world. But the Zoom ones, we found a way to make it super interactive. We just ask everybody to, you know, keep bringing their glass up to the camera so that we can actually participate, and so other people can comment on it, etc. And at the end, obviously, we do a group picture. But it is it's wonderful, as I mentioned before, like putting your hands in soil makes you live longer and happier, and you're basically working with soil in order to plant your succulents.
I know. I remember we were at some major law firms in Manhattan, and they all came. They couldn't wait to sign up and do it. Why don't you tell us about the things that you have besides the different color sand? You have all these cute little things that you put in the terrarium, how do you call it? I don't know. Figures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we, a few years back, so a lot of our clients that had hired us to do group terrarium classes, like I think the biggest class that we've taught was like 550 people. So they were asking us for other nature-related classes, and we started to develop them. So now we have sand art, and you would think sand art is normally like a children's event, but the amount of adults that hire us to do sand art classes, and we don't actually use succulents with that, we use air plants. So also very low maintenance, very easy to take care of. We do kokedama, so it's like this moss that surrounds plants. You plant them inside, and then you kind of wrap it with twine. We do flower crowns. We haven't done on Zoom yet. And then we do an I Love Plants workshop. And We ask people in advance to send us a picture of a plant that they have in their space, that either there's something wrong with it, or they want to propagate it, or they want to make it flower if it hasn't been flowering for a while. And that's super popular because we talk there also about like low light plants, high light plants, the best detoxifiers, the best mood boosters, etc. So we offer lots of nature classes.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I love the date night, how you had people there and, you know, you'd have wine and some appetizers. I mean, everyone loved that. It was so much fun. And
actually, we're doing that again. We're going to launch that in September, where we actually send out a terrarium kit with a bottle of wine. And where it's going to be a date night terrarium class. What we use in person is now on Zoom. And they're going to have wine. So.
Do you have any stories that anything that stands out that you want to share from your classes, or anything funny, different, unique?
I can share with you. It makes my stomach flip when I think about this. But on one of the very first classes, we were two people. We were only two people working here at the time, and I was obviously really nervous. It was like I said, one of our first terrarium classes. It was here in the store in Astoria, and maybe we had like 8 people, and we were boxing them up. The class went really well. I was thrilled. Everybody seemed happy, and they were chit-chatting. And one of our students, one of our attendees, went to the bathroom, and we said, "Okay, we'll pack it up." So one of the other girls that I work with, she went to put it in the box and she dropped it. And there was just dead silence. Like, we were like, oh my God, this client just like, oh my God, we dropped her terrarium. And when the woman came out, I approached her and I said, I am so sorry. We dropped your terrarium. She's like, oh my God, don't worry. She goes, I'm going to use that as a practice run. And then she just built another terrarium. And I think to myself, that's who our clients are. Like, I love our clients, and I think that they are softer, gentler, more wonderful just because they have to do with plants. Like, I've been doing it for a long time. Like, I didn't just start it just a few weeks ago. And I have to say that over the course of the years, rarely do we have clients or attendees to our classes or people that purchase our terrariums that are not nice. It's rare.
Wow. It's always fun to work with people that are nice and that you like, and, you know, and that get it.
Absolutely.
I think I might need to sleep on a whole bed of plants so I can chill out.
Thanks so much, Lillian.
What's that?
I said, thanks so much. Thanks for this.
No, I really, it's been great having you. I just want to show the banner again. If anyone is interested in reaching Liza, you can reach her at liza@luludi.net or Instagram @luludi living art. We're also going to put this on YouTube and Facebook. And so it's been really great having you here at wellworld.tv on Facebook. And, you know, this is a topic, I don't know, people don't know. We don't know this much about plants the way you told us, and it's really eye-opening. And who knew, you know? And it's great.
And who knew, right? I mean, plants are amazing. And then don't get me started on like the wonderful benefit of herbs. But Lillian, thank you so much, and everybody for tuning in. And go out and buy some plants. You're going to feel great.
And Liza, don't turn into a plant, because we need you around.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us at Well World TV. Looking forward to seeing you next week with some more very cool, interesting guests. Have a great night. Take care.